Hello, everyone. I have the honor and the privilege of introducing this gentleman who's going to tell us what Toronto looked like, what it was like in the early years.
My name is Joseph Brown, but everybody calls me Joe Brown. I got my name from my father. My father worked at McCanney, Charles McCanney, and that was his shop name. They would call him Joe Brown. And I'm the last child of seven. So they called me Joe Brown, which was his nickname that he just put over to me. So, and it continued on through all the years. That's my name, Joe Brown. I was born at 130 Laventille Road, East River. I don't think anybody could have been born any place better, because it will shock you to know the kind of tenacity you grew up with and the kind of people that come from East River. All people know about East River people is they like to fight and they whatever, but that's not true. They fight for their right, and they fight for the right to be who they are. And that history starts when the sailors came into Trinidad and Tobago on the base, and they used to be taking advantage of the young women, as you know. And they made a terrible mistake by crossing the bridge and coming behind the bridge. And they ran into a group of people, or young men, not me, of course, my elders, who did not take stuff from anybody. And that started the whole thing, whereby as the years went by, as Carnival came up, sailors, the only place in the world that the American Army or Navy allowed sailors and Marine people to be out of dress was in Trinidad, because they used to beat them and take the sailor cap and take their helmets, so that they find they were losing a lot of helmets and sailor caps. So it meant that they passed some kind of law saying that they were allowed on shore without the headdress. And if you notice carefully, most steel bands from that era and that area, which is like Tokyo and Red Army and Renegades and Desperados, I should call Desperados first, because that's my first band. Desperados and Casablanca, they all had good sailor caps, the real thing, the real deal, and the real helmets. So people, would explain to you how that happened, and that's how it happened. Anyhow, I don't want you to think that this is all about a fighting situation. The fight is the fight to survive. And I was born at 130 Laventille Road, and I went to Laventille School, and I went to Calvary a very short stint, because my sister was a teacher. She was a teacher in Laventille Road, Laventille School, and at Calvary School. So that's how I got passed around, because my mother died when I was very young, and she was kind of babysitting me in school. So I had 2 kindergarten stints, you know. But of all my siblings, maybe in the last one, I was really inside. But like I tell you, I had 2 kindergarten, so that I met the guys. The guy used to take me to school. They passed and picked me up and carried me to school. So my entire life was wound around these people, who these people call badger and criminal, which I did not know. To me, they were my peers, and there were people who taught me stuff, and I learned a lot from them. At all. My father had a Gibson, a semi-solid Gibson guitar, believe it or not. From my uncle in America sent him that. My father was a guitar player, and he played with a group called the Groovy Six, which was, I guess, the jazzy kind of people at the time, you know. And but he always decided that his children will not play music. When it came to me, well, he bought a piano. We had a piano in our house, and my brother was the one, my biggest brother. He had some accident with his leg or something like that, and he spent a lot of time convalescing. so that this was to keep him busy. So he had that. But when it came down to me, because he left home in England, when it came down to me, he decided, no, there's no music, I have to become, how those parents were at the time. I had to become a doctor or a lawyer or whatever. And, but I was born and grown into the Laventille thing. I really was, And I never saw it the way other people saw it. It was normal to me. So that I learned a lot of things. And the things, the people I'm telling you about, like Shaba and Copperhead, and these guys decided that the youth who went to school, like, we went to Tranquility after Laventille School, and then I went to St. Mary's after that. So that these people, they always said, you guys have to represent us in the future. Talkative will always say, we have us on the corner by the curb and say, you guys, you're not into this, we're going to deal with that part of it, but you guys would be the change. You're going to change this whole scenario. So I'm telling you, the same background criminal that people calling in town was the people who talking to us like that. Rudolph was one of those people. Myself, Rudolph. I was in Desperados before Rudolph Charles. So when I left, that's when he got an opportunity to, because at the time, things were getting kind of stiff. I take my turn. Now remember, my father not into steel band and stuff, right? So I couldn't even carry a pan home, and he didn't want me to be in that melee at all. So I would take my pan, carried by this lady who sell shark and fish and stuff by the corner and float, and put it under her steps. And I would sit down there by myself and do classical stuff, tenor by myself. And people always say, so why are you doing that? What are you doing that for? And I say, well, because one of these days I'm going to play at Carnegie Hall. I really didn't know what Carnegie Hall was. I really didn't understand that. You know what I mean? But I just wanted to show them there was an aim, I did. I played at Carnegie Hall 3 times. I did. And it happened, it just happened. I was in the right place at the right time. Square Garden, I did. Played my Square Garden 3 times. 3 different ways, pan and music, because I used to be in a group called the Trade Winds. So it's like these things happen because I put in the time and I knew I needed to do better, because that's what those guys were telling us. You have to be better. That's why Rudolph Charles was so unique.
Did you go and get these accomplishments while in Trinidad, playing in these places that you...
No. The thing was that this thing happened chance. You get to New York and then I run into 2 people who were Desperados people. First, George Yates and Kim Loy. Kim Loy was from Mango Rose. And immediately them guys says, Joe, you have to do this, you have to find that, you have to do that. I applied to try and get into the mechanical industry school, and I did. And I went in that direction from there. But the pan was always something that you could make a living with. Like, I was working in the garment district, and I realized what a dog-eat dog that situation was. I didn't leave Trinidad to come to do that. So I had to go back to the pan. And because of the pan, and because of what experience that I had in Trinidad with that, I was able to arrange for a group and, that kind of thing. And fortunately, the story goes back again. I'm sorry, I got to go back to the story back in Trinidad. This guy called Sidney Fry was going around recording bands. And he came to Sputnik, my band, and put his mics up and stuff like that. And I went to him and I says, did you get permission to do that? He says, no, the government said we could do this. I says, that's the government. But this yard here is not the government. You can't record here. He said, I can't. He said, you're the only person in this whole country that ever stopped me and saying these things. I says, yeah, you can't do that. He says, you know something, what's your name? I tell him my name. He said, this is my card. My name is Sidney Fry. He was the guy responsible for audio fidelity sound in recording. he he said, if ever you come to New York City, visit me.
What he told you?
If ever you come to New York City, visit me. You know, you see what I'm saying these things to you, like, I don't want it to take this long, but I'm showing you there's a thread that goes through everything, you know. And you don't tell a person like me, if you come to New York, visit me, you know, especially when I put you in your place and you are impressed by that. So I said, okay, I did go to New York. And my uncle said, you got to go and see this man. So I did. When I got to him, he said to me, Joe, boy, I mean, meeting you was one thing that flabbergasted me in Trinidad. But here now, I have a problem. I said, what's your problem? He says, well, he recorded Kintops, Invaders, and Sputnik, of course. And he said, I don't have any lead. I can't hear the lead. Whatever it was, the tenor is gone. He says, so all this time I spend on money is going down the drain. I said, no, it's not. He said, no. I said, no, it's not. I have a concert pan that Eddie Mann tuned before I left. So I said, I will put the lead on all of it. So I did. He gave me the acetate. I went home. I learned the song in E flat and all kind of funny keys because I had a concert pitch thing. That's another story. I don't even want to go into that. And so when it was, he said, this might take a few months. I said, no. Give me a week and the next weekend we'll do it. The next weekend I called, he said, you finished? I said, yeah, it's finished. He said to me, I have to do something for you. He said, so if you could put together a group, I will record a group. And that's the first group steel band thing that was recorded in America. It's called Caribbean Vibratones.
Mm.
And that's something we just did overnight. I took him and the guys together and we put some stuff together.
So now give me the New York, what this whole situation you work with and what didn't work for you and why you came to Toronto.
Oh, well, because of Sydney Fry, I was able to go to the village and really, the same, remember I told you I was rehearsing these things, you know, for Elise, and these are classical pieces.
Mm-hmm.
And he put an A&R person with me and sent me to the village and says, you go and show them, because there was a guy called Victor Brady, who was from the Cayman, one of the islands, and it was usually, they used to call him Superman. It was just speed, but it wasn't sweet, the pan wasn't sweet. And it's just, that's all he was, Superman, you know? So when I go into this they call it Cafe Bazaar or the Cafe Wa. There were two cafes who was doing that. And I started to play and you could hear the notes, it's early man tenor, you know? And that mesmerized people. I mean, not the playing so much, but the sound. They never heard a steel drum with tone, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's the one thing I wanted to do ever since I was in Trinidad, to prove that this is an instrument and you can play anything on this instrument and musical and melodic. So I started, after that was finished, of course Kim was teaching kids, like from Floyd Patterson Home and Wiltwick School for Boys and stuff like that. And he said, you had to be with me. You got to work with me. I said, that's fine. And Murray, you know Andy Norrell, you know that name? He's big, he's an American. And he plays steel drums really well. He arranged for Our Boys and he goes to Trinidad every year. Yeah, he's done a lot of things, Andy Norrell.
Okay.
I met his father. And his father says, you got to work with me. You have to work at the Educational Alliance. And that's what I started to work at the Educational Alliance. And the promise was that they would deal with my papers because being a student, and you know how that works, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Non-immigrant student, whatever. Every 3 months you have to report and stuff like that. So this guy said, well,
You said that was 1960 now.
Yes, 60.
Within that window of 60.
And that was their window.
You came to Toronto.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So I'm finishing up my school, I graduate and stuff like that. So now the CEO at the time, he said, "Boy, we have to have you. So we're going to apply for you for work permit and stuff like that, and get your stuff together." And that's what caused me to be in Canada. So I waited, and nothing. So time is of the essence. So I told him, I says, if by June you can get through with your stuff, you can get that done. It is the Educational Alliance, you must be able to do something. If you can't do it by then, I'll be gone. But you see, people are like this. They think that if you need them, they think you need them, then they will stretch it out, and keep you under the whatever. Brother lived here. My brother went to school here, Western University here in London, and he did very well. And you were looking at CBC, So he kept always telling me, "Joe, come to Canada." So this was the opportunity. I said, "Okay, I'll come." And I came to Canada.
Oh, Joe.
There's something you must know, though.
Mm-hmm.
They're entertainers from in this kind of thing, like limbo and dancing and pan and stuff like that in America, like Brooklyn and stuff like that, used to get little contracts to come to Montreal to work in them gangster clubs. So you could come over here a weekend and make a few dollars and go back. You know what I mean? So that was done already. So it's like, it wasn't a foreign tongue to me.
Tolerance to try and make it work. The public want to hear somebody who arrived in this tongue in 1962. What type of, and you're coming from New York too, it's not even from Trinidad.
You're not straight in one of these countries. Nothing matters, Nothing matters. Whatever you could do, because I wanted to get grounded, you see, so that I could move, I could do what I have to do. When I came here, I applied for a job. I applied to the Canadian Forces, and they wanted me to go to Montreal. They wanted me to work in Kingston, and that is not what I really want. I wanted to be in Toronto. I got the job, but it didn't suit me because that was kind of foreign. Here, there were people who were in Montreal, like Selwyn Gomes, and Eddie Edgill, and those guys left Montreal to come to Toronto because, like, it's English, and the thing is happening in Toronto. You have the after-hour clubs on the weekend, you know what I mean? There was life going on. Life meaning the little jam going on and guys going to school, it was happening. There was one steel band here, they were called Panics at the time, and they changed the name into Steltones later on. So it's like it was more English, and more of us were here, not like a Brooklyn then. Brooklyn was like you didn't move anywhere. Brooklyn is like you're still in Trinidad, you're still on the corner. Toronto was like fresh,
Fresh air.
Yeah, fresh air and fresh grazing, new stuff. And everything was for the first time. And I like that.
What was Long Street like?
And being on the inside, especially as a pan man, you're on the inside of stuff. So that means that Ron Delmas, Louis Delmas, Dave Mahon, Chipsy Mahon, Glenn Sozano, these are all Portuguese, right? People, right? And they owned the Trinidad Club. They used that money, they do the little after-hour thing, and they used that money to pay for the school. Came here, I met that year, the original Trinidad Club. And these guys whom I'm calling to you, all those guys were beating pan, little panting, and from the band from Belmont and Silver Stars, and those guys, that kind of people. And they owned the club. And just around that time, these guys graduated. Two of them became doctors, David Mahon and Chipsy Mahon. Ron Delmas became a dentist, and Louis, I think, went back home. So they had finished with it. Charles Roach, who was a lawyer then, decided he wanted to, because he liked his culture and stuff like that. And he came and decided to buy the club. So see, there was always activities like on the weekends. We played every weekend. we were exponents of Trinidad and Tobago and our culture. And that was our culture, the pan thing, into the music thing. It was always that. After Delmas, Ron Delmas, those guys went into practice. They were doctors and dentists and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And Charlie, who was a lawyer, decided to take over that whole scenario, you know.
Mhm.
And that continued on, you know.
Okay, so how did they lose that area, and how did it move to, was the Mercury before the Club Trinidad and Alpha Shooter there, Dalhousie?
That was, yes,
Mercury came before that.
yes. Could I explain that to you?
Yes.
The Mercury was a sports club by, I think Rocky Graziano was one of the people there in there, and it was that grouping of people. Then a Jamaican guy by the name of Azan bought into with a chartered accountant, bought the club over from Rocky Graziano, and it's a private charter club. You see, it was called the Mercury Club. Azan just took a liking to me for some reason and decided, you know, Joe, you guys just, I was a member of the Trade Winds, Dave Martins and the Trade Winds. And he always said, Joe, I take a liking to you. I think you guys will need a place that you could play in here, you know what I mean, in this town. So I would like you to buy this place, you know, you and the group. So I talked to the leader of the group, Dave Martins, and he said, yeah, boy, that's a good idea. So I said, hey, Camille, we interested. We do this. And that was it. So we turned into, the Mercury Club turned into We Place to make it Caribbean, because BW was just starting to fly up here, you know. And so we know what days those flights would come in. And it became a meeting place for all Caribbean people. You know, when the flights come, the pilots come in, and the stewardesses, and the people who come on the flights, and, you know, before you know it, that was, if you want to meet up with somebody, you come to Mercury Club from Tuesday on, you know. Yeah. And it was Guyanese, it wasn't Trinidadian, it was Guyanese, Trinidadian, Barbadian, Jamaican, everybody.
I came there to, I met a guy as soon as I came here, and he was Guyanese. And he took me to Mercury Club.
You're right.
We took the
Exactly.
subway.
That's what I told you.
Driving, yeah, we took the subway.
Yeah, yeah. And you come off right by Dundas Street and you walk down. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. So that became a way station. I also want you to know that because of Charles Roach, the Black Businessmen Association started. And the Mercury Club was the place, or We Place was the place. They used to have meetings and that kind of thing. The whole thing kind of just, you know, just connected. It's all connected. Tapestry, all connected. You know?
Wow. And we lost that because we always had this little stress over losing Club Trinidad and stuff, but it seemed like this looked like the whole thing all over again because you guys
that was before Club Trinidad.
But
I mean, the second,
you guys owned it. I don't think Miles and these guys, Miles and his thing said that they
were renting.
And they were part owned, you know.
They were renting.
Yes.
They were renting. Yeah. No, we own that place. We own. The Trade Winds own that. Dave Martins, Clive Rusting, Terry Dale, and Joe Brown. We own that.
And what happened? What happened? Oh.
Well, time, you know, after a while, it was just, you see, it was my I don't know what you want to call it, but I believe that we were very successful what we were doing. I thought that we needed to put more time into it and make it more professional and make it more far-reaching, wider than just, you know what I mean, a jam, you know? And I don't mean it in a negative way. It's just that I tried, I explained to them, I said to them, man, we could do this differently. We could really, you know, ace this thing. And because we were going in the right direction. But they couldn't see it. They said, Joe, you always all this serious thing. And, you know, when we come to work, this is our club, you know, we come to work, we should start at 9. That's when we're supposed to start, you know. And not because there's hockey going on up the road and only when hockey finishes, maybe some people will drop in. We shouldn't wait for people to drop in. You know, we should start all set at 9 o'clock and we can continue going. You know what I mean? We don't wait. So we had a lot of differences of opinion on how to do the thing, you know. And then I wanted to be more musical, you know, and it they weren't ready for that. I guess I don't know, you know. And I
You guys
gave
sold.
the same ultimatum: June, I'll be gone. You know? And that was it. I spent 10 years with that group, 10 years. And at that time, we used to tour the Caribbean twice a year, you know, Carnival time and Independence time. And we were at the point, man, maybe if we were Jewish, we would have been way off, you know what I mean? But it's like, I see it that way. I bought from a Jew and a Jamaican, you know what I mean? So that's how I see that, you know, and that's where we should go. But, you know, you were asking about Trinidad Club. Trinidad Club was on Young Street. The Jamaican club was obliquely opposite to that. And there was another club of Guyanese further up. I can't remember the name of it, right? It was on my tip of my tongue, but I just remember. That was the three clubs happening.
So those names were not syndicated or named legally because that's why it was Club Trinidad. One was Trinidad Club, and because there's still negotiations on. I think the one in Dalhousie is Club Trinidad.
Yeah, but the Trinidad Club was Young Street, you know, and by the time that kind of dwindled, because I had joined the Trade Winds and I wasn't there anymore, I gave the band. I had a band called The Experiments. I gave it over to Terry Dale, and they were continuing on, but I was moving in another direction. So the club, Trinidad Club, kind of simmered down, you know, and it died a natural death. You know?
Okay, now what most of us see this is Club Trinidad. And we saw the whole evolution from the undergrads, Irie being having function there, Irie being a prominent club in Toronto, to the fact that it had blockos. One of the biggest blockos I saw was Clyde McLean opening up the parking lot there.
Right.
And having the bands out there and stuff. Were you around that time? Did you play any role in those things?
No, I was there. We were running.
What you thought about that?
That was all advancement, you know, all going in the right direction. Yeah, Clive and Clyde McNeil. Clyde McNeil and Clive Marshall. Yeah. Clive Marshall even went further on because he was a kind of cook-like and he dealt with the government and stuff like that. And he started a kitchen thing and, you know, yeah. The Mercury Club was noted for that also. It was also a club that you could do anything. And we did have restaurant and club, nightclub in the night and restaurant in the day. And of course you could eat at the night too. We had a guy called Sugar Wooger who was doing most of the cooking, you know.
Yeah, because and I say it's nice now to have this foundation where we learn the full thing about Mercury now. And now we have a little insight with Club Trinidad because the ambience of Club Trinidad, it have that high level, you know, where I think when it advanced, it was where you could dine. The bottom area where you're walking from Dalhousie was where the dancing was taking place. And upstairs was more the dining and stuff. And I didn't even know the building had so much floors open to entertainment.
They used to have two fetes at a time. One upstairs and one at the regular downstairs. You know about that?
I only know it in the late time when we start partying upstairs.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that. I didn't even know the building was that accessible.
Yeah. Papa Ski.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So what you did, you mentioned even the fact about being dentistry somewhere around you give us street tongue, you give us the painting, you give us the musical thing.
Yeah.
So what about the triangular thing now, the dentistry thing now? How you got into that?
That died. that died because number one, I was always wanted to play music. Number two, the social work thing started to happen at the Educational Alliance, and that took it into another field, the field of social work, you know. So when I came here, I started the first steel band teaching here at St. Christopher House. See, Dave Mayben, yeah, and that's the first.
You remember what year that was? Around what time? Okay.
Around 64. I'm not too.
Now, in talking to LaPierre and Pan Pat and these guys, how you like all the evolution of the steel band, Caribana? Did you ever had any official part of Caribana?
Yes, there was a time I was the artistic director for the island.
And I don't want to put all that weight on your shoulder, Joe, but what exactly happened with this organization? I'm not saying within your time it might have been perfect, but
no,
on the overall picture, it's not good.
It is so painful for me that even to talk about that is very painful, because like the first Caribana started in 68, not 67. 67 was the centennial year. And that's how the whole idea germinated when Charles Rose and Adrian Pitt and these guys decided we were going to ask the government if we could do this every year. And the first Caribana started in 1968. So the first Caribana in 1968. Some people are still saying 1967. There was no Caribana in 1967. It was the centennial year that they were celebrating.
Okay, thanks for correcting that. I need that information because that's what we do.
So, and that's it. And no matter what anybody else tell you, trust me, the first Caribana was 1968.
Okay, and were you part of it then, or how you got
it? We were part of it from 67, when the centennial year, as a trade wind. We played, you know, with the same grouping and coming on the street, we did all that.
So wait. So let's understand the centennial year. You just mentioned coming down the street with the trade winds. It was something similar to Caribana, but it wasn't Caribana. Is that what you're saying?
It was not Caribana. It's the 100th anniversary. It was a Canadian thing. 100th anniversary of celebration of the 100th anniversary of this country. So they had all kinds of people and all different people
celebrating, yes.
Celebrating that. And we happened to be a part of that as Caribbean people, you know, and we became very, very prominent because they never see those steel band on the road. They never see, you know, I mean, people really enjoy themselves on the road like that. And
so on the technicality, they can take little bragging rights for the 67.
The what? 67?
Yeah.
No, it was Canadian. It was Canadian.
Okay.
It was a Canadian parade, you know, with little sprinklings of us in it. Dick Smith with his little group, and you know, we had the trade winds.
Well, what I'm trying to get to you is that why you write in what the specifics of it, the name Caribana in 68. The people, the organizers of Caribana that came from the centennial to the 68 felt that they had it in them. They already got their feet wet, you know, and maybe that's why they figure, well, you know what I mean? Like, we already had the pillars here, just take it from the 67 and make it more official in 68.
No.
A technicality, you're right.
No, it was never that. It was never that. It's the old fires burning in all of us. I wanted to do something. Wanted to be something. Wanted to be seen, represented, and to show them how that is done. We were just a minuscule part of that 67 centennial thing, you know. Those guys, when that happened, so and the way in which we were received, this little segment was received, and the fact that we're all, that's in, you know, our DNA, you know, Carnival and Bacchanal, and we want to come, you know, and they decided they would take it to the government and try to get that done. I can't remember the name of a guy. There's a guy, he might have been a Barbadian, who named Caribana, you know, who made that name up. I can't remember his name. Somebody might be able to help you with that. I can't remember his name, but this guy coined that word Caribana is his word. It was done.
And that is causing so much of a problem, and I find it shouldn't.
Listen, when you've mentioned Caribana, it's a hurtful, painful thing to me. Because we did this all for nothing. We put all that stuff on year after year for nothing. Now, when the government give a few dollars, and I remember when they made a report one year, they said $5 million collected over the weekend. Over the weekend, I mean, over everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
It came into the city, 500 million. That wasn't our figures, that's their figures. And this group of people from City Hall, I want to be as is accurate. What I'm telling you is very diplomatic, but it's accurate. They were like, they think they had to oversee us, you know what I mean? And they were almost dictatorial about how things should go, and you know, that kind of thing. And we ain't know much about this whole scenario and stuff like that. You get a little $100,000, and you know, which should have been a lot more at that time. But they were planning the Pride Parade. The Pride Parade came out of the Caribana.
You think so, Joe?
I know, I'm not thinking so. I'm telling you so. I'm not thinking. That's what I tell you. I want to be as diplomatic as I can and pleasant as I can. But let them defy me. Let them come to me and tell me no. I know. Ask the masked man.
Sally?
Sally, Sally. You know. And they hired a lot of different people to do stuff in their thing. It was about, and the grouping of people who did that were the people who were in City Hall representing the government. But I wanted to say this. We are responsible for the demise and for the way this situation here, because we can't account for $100,000. We did a terrible job.
When 500 million is being yeah.
It's I don't even go into that because there's so much hurt and there's so much stuff that you could say to
yeah, but seeing that we're on it already, I think I'm talking to it with the right person. You're the person, the early pioneer, you know where the clubs were formed, you're in the entertainment, you come from Laventille, right? No, let me put it this way. Why we were not able to, and you're the only person I venture even to have this conversation with. I know a lot of guys who were the president and wherever, Caribana and stuff, I don't talk this, but because you're authentic and you're one of the early pioneers, I really feel you know, and it's up to you what you want to, why there were abuses, which I find is almost, that's what we used to call never see kind of, you know? Now, if you could be doing that, and you're talking about people pulling in 500 million, we haven't really gone anywhere.
No.
And it seemed like you realize that.
We are to be blamed. Could I go back and show you something? You see, I come up in Pan. I come up on the street. You know, I'm from East River. I know the Pan movement. I know what happens in Trinidad and Tobago and how people see certain things. So, for instance, when the Pan, what do you call it? Pan Society, you know, what do you call them? Pan Trinbago.
Yeah.
You see, Pan men weren't into that. Pan men were into beating Pan and trying to get a Pan sweet and trying to make a big band and big mass, and that's what Pan men were into. So what happened is they always, a man said, oh, he's an accountant. All right, we're going to use him. He could be on the board. Oh, he's a doctor. Oh, yeah. All right, let me do it. You know what I mean? Oh, he's a lawyer. You know, this is the lawyer fella. Listen, the only time anybody in Trinidad and Tobago ever pursued law is when I tell him, you know, there are no lawyers in Trinidad and Tobago. PRS was taking money. The money was going to England. They were taking out whatever they think that they need to take out from it and send back the spoil to us in Trinidad. You understand? So I told this guy, I can't remember his name right now, but he said, Joe, Boy, thank you very much. I went to school. I went to law school. I didn't learn anything here. I said, no, you didn't. You should be the first music lawyer. I told him about this business of music, that book. I told him go to New York and buy that. And there's new editions all the time. And he became the first music business lawyer in Trinidad. He was already a lawyer when I spoke to him.
Mhm.
First, and I am talking to you in this 80s, you understand? So I'm saying to you, what happened is what happened in our entire life. And we come to this country and we run right into that again. We figure this guy's a lawyer, he's a doctor, he's a whatever, he named Chan, this one named that, and they make him something. None of these guys have been in the trenches. None of these guys ain't ride with nobody. None of these guys ain't understand what the C-band is about. They don't understand what mass is about. They don't understand when a man make a mass and the mass can't come out, he break down the whole side of the house to bring the mass out. That is culture. That is somebody who really feeling and living something with love. When you talk about pan, you know what we go through to make pan?
Yeah, so you're talking about landmarks now, about what was Young Street like? You know, seeing that you bought into Mercury, which is Victoria right there from, I mean, it was ideal location because you just come out of Dundas and you just walked it.
Well, if you just walk above Dundas Square, there was a Bronx Derby at that corner. And you keep on walking up, there was another club there where all we saw a lot of the R&B stars and stuff come there. I mean, the big names.
Colonial?
No, Colonial that's going there every direction.
Yes, yeah.
Colonial, the jazz people went there too. The Colonial and the Brass Rail. They went the real, I mean, top-notch performers along Young Street all week and weekends. People used to leave Buffalo and Rochester and stuff like that and come across.
What?
Yes, come across here on Young Street to hit Young Street. Yeah. And you
nightlife was that good, Joe?
Pardon?
The nightlife was that good?
Yes. I'm telling you the real thing. You call any star at the time. Was there any one of them? Le Coq d'Or. Remember Le Coq d'Or?
Yes, of course. Yeah, that was in my time, yes.
Going up all there. You had those.
They had good acts coming there. Coq d'Or had good acts coming in.
Yeah. Look, the Colonial too had good jazz acts too.
Yes.
I saw Thelonious Monk at there at that same Brass Rail.
Yeah, that's the stretch there, you know, from there to Gerard.
Yeah, there was Lindy's. Lindy used to remain open a little late.
Oh no, I mean the new entertainment scene. You're still in the entertainment field?
Not really. No.
You just
I left that a while. When I left here, I went back to New York here. I spent 10 years back in New York. And that's how I got involved with Ralph MacDonald and that kind of thing on Broadway.
Okay, so
I left this Caribbean thing and went into mainstream.
Did you go as a freelance musician?
Yeah, I was working with Antisha Music and yeah, Ralph MacDonald.
So how you get the link with Ralph MacDonald?
I met him. Ralph MacDonald used to beat pan in Harlem. And he knew of me in America. When Harry Belafonte first came here, he came with a tenor, and he wanted a tune. So he looked
Harry Belafonte.
Yeah, Harry Belafonte. Ralph played Harry Belafonte.
How was that experience with Ralph? Ralph hit the song at one time. He had some nice little hit that was a kind of crossover music for us.
You know a song called Discalypso?
Yeah.
That's my song. I arranged that and wrote that. Look at the liner notes again.
Okay.
Just Hold Me. I wrote that. Brewer Charles, I co-wrote that with them.
So looking at your slide, like Toronto, or you just no?
I had done the whole gambit here already. Own club, do the thing, everything was doing, and that was it. And nobody wanted to move any further. So I went move further on. I hear the things I told you I accomplished.
Yeah. So that was when you went back?
Yeah.
Oh,
When I went back, no, I
you
as a
did?
trade-in,
Yeah.
as a trade-in, and before I played with Pan and thing at Carnegie Hall. But after when I went back into the mainstream music body. So I was able to be, I produced, Wine Light? I co-produced that.
But
We didn't even talk about
you
my
still,
production.
you still should be doing music.
Hmm?
You still, no?
We need no. What I would like to do in music is you remember Charlie's Roots?
Yes.
You remember Chandelier?
Yes.
Well, when I went back home, that's what I did. I turned the music around then to Charlie's Roots and Chandelier because of the way they thought of calypso music. Charlie's Roots impressed me. I like the name Roots, and they used to treat calypso with respect. So I gave them all the respect. And all them David Rutherford and Tambo and all, I did all those albums. I did
Okay.
Bugsy Birthday Party. I did Ralph Robert Greenwich. A lot of you don't know my work.
Give you what you do.
What people don't realize is what it feels like to see a black face on the train and go next stage, no matter where you're from. No matter who it is. You just go next, wherever once you get on the train, you go to a black face. No, that's a body who know and understand this town.
Yeah.
Because that's what we used to do.
Well,
that's what we used to have to do to feel comfortable. Let me give you some pointers. You talk about our music and calypso and our music, right? Caribbean music. Nobody support their music like the Jamaican.
True.
And nobody don't support their music like Trinidadian.
And why is that?
Of course I analyze it. Because we don't know who we are. We're scared to be who we are. They take it seriously. They understand that this is a serious thing and they take it seriously. You ever hear Robert play? He's a genius. A genius. Bugsy, a genius. You guys are geniuses. 1, 2 sticks on 2 drums, and you can't believe it's one man doing that.
Yeah. I
mean by himself, soloing. It's like they're geniuses, and we don't see that. We prefer to criticize them or say something stupid.
Yeah.
I love Bugsy because Bugsy reminds me of where we come from. So the roughing up of that is his mental, he's going through the emotional recovery from where we come from. I like that. Now, when you take Bugsy's music and put it in a band, it is dynamic. I have a desperate to death. I had to leave my yard and go and listen to Bugsy. All desperados know that, because when we had Rudolph's brother and I had a difference of opinion, sad man. And he always talking. They let you do anything and you could go wrong there. I said, listen, we'll go to the savannah tonight and you keep quiet until I tell you to stop and to say something. He said, oh, all right, let me go. So we go in the savannah, we stand next to Pat Bishop, right by the stage there, and the band play. Not our band, I mean, we know how we feel about our band, so no question. When Bugsy finished play, he looked at me, I look at him, I says, now talk. He says, oh God, that drama, boy, the drama. I says, now you understand? You understand what I'm telling you about? So that is what you have to be able to understand and recognize that. Now he can recognize that because he comes from drama. You know what I mean? So you pay attention to it because we are into the instrument, we're not into the band. I'm a desperate to death, but I'm into the instrument, what you can do and not do. Now Bugsy has now, in these days, he has learned to temper a little bit. So he doesn't play as rough and roughshod as he did before. I guess age helps with that too. But Bugsy is the most pan man I know. So many things we don't understand. We never intellectualize this thing. If you could find a forum that people could sit without getting vexed and talking about riot and all that, and just talk about the intellectualizing the instrument and where it has come from, where it's gone to, and what it takes If this was developed in America, you realize what would have been happening.
Yeah. Yes.
Japan come in the late hour, and look how far they move. You know what I mean? What is wrong with us? What is wrong with us?
Joe, I want to thank you for giving me all the information,
Not all.
the authentic information,
Not all.
and for
That's not all.
all. No,
Nah.
no. Well, all right. So, part two.
No. I'm just saying that there's so much, so many
Yeah.
layers.
I want to thank you for giving me the information and the time,
Right.
and for authenticating all the information I'll have to put forward now from Toronto, 1962.
Say one thing, we all contributed. People seem to forget that. In whatever different ways we did, we all contributed. And people must start to get that picture